We're going to apply what we have learned about trigonometry to this word problem. A pilot flying at an altitude of 2.7 kilometers sights two airports directly in front of him. The angle of depression to one airport is 58 degrees, and the angle of depression to the second airport is 37 degrees. What is the distance between the two airports? First, make a diagram of the situation, round to the nearest tenth of a kilometer. Okay, so let's make a diagram, because with these it's hard to do any calculations unless we see what's going on. So imagine this little airplane flying along, and so he looks down, the pilot looks down, and he sees two airports. So here's the ground, here's airport A, here's airport B. Now it's saying the airplane is 2.7 kilometers above the ground. Now here's the right angle, because we're looking, the distance to the ground is just at a right angle to the ground. And so then we have the distance to one airport and the distance to the second airport. So now we need to figure out some angles. They give us some information in our problem. So think about the horizontal line of sight. So it's telling us that the angle of depression to one airport is 58 degrees. So that would be this angle right here, the bigger angle. Remember, angle of depression is looking down. So this is 58 degrees. And the angle of depression to the second airport, so to airport B, is 37 degrees right there. Okay. So essentially we have formed two triangles right there, and we're going to use some trig to figure out the distance. So the distance is right there. Let's call it D, the distance between the two airports. So let's take a look. So we have two triangles here. We have this smaller triangle right there, and because we know the angle of depression to be 58 right there, we can figure out what is the angle inside. So we just do 90 minus 58, and that gives us this angle inside to be 32 degrees. So also to find that distance D, we're going to have to find this side of the triangle. Let's call it X. So we have that one triangle. We also have a second triangle. I'm going to draw that in blue to distinguish the two. So it's the bigger triangle right there. Again, we have that other angle of depression, 37 degrees. So we can use that to figure out the angle of the blue triangle. So again, 90 minus 37 gives us 53 degrees. So also we're going to find the bottom side of this triangle. Let's call this Y. Now, once we find X and Y, if we subtract them from each other, that gives us D. So just to help us see this better and figure things out, I'm going to take those two triangles and draw them on this side. Let's draw the red one. So we have X, we have 2.7 right there, we have 32 degrees right there, and the right angle. Okay, then the blue one, so Y is down here. This angle right here is 53 degrees. So this way you have the two triangles. You can look at them separately. You can easier find the information. So which trig function do we use? Oh, again, this part right here is 2.7, not to forget. So our aid here is SOHCAHTOA. If we look at that, in both triangles, we have the opposite to the angle and the adjacent to the angle. So therefore, the function that we need is tangent. Okay, so let's set up the two functions. So let's start with the red triangle. So we have tangent of 32, that's our angle. It always goes with the trig function, equals opposite over adjacent. So 2.7 goes on the bottom. So we solve, so cross multiply 2.7 over to the other side. So 2.7 tangent of 32 equals x. Now you're going to take this, stick it in your calculator. Remember, your calculator has to be in degree mode because we are using degrees here. So when you stick this in the calculator, we're going to get 1.7 for the value of x, 1.7 kilometers. We're going to do the same thing for the blue triangle. Again, we use tangent because we have opposite and adjacent. Tangent of 53 equals y over 2.7. So just the same as what we did on the other side for the other triangle. Cross multiply, so 2.7 tangent of 53 equals y. So again, we plug this into the calculator. So for y, we get 3.6. Okay, so you can see in your diagram, we know x is 1.7, y is 3.6. So to get d, we just take y minus x. So distance equals y minus x, or in this case 3.6 minus 1.7, which equals 1.9 kilometers. So that's how far the airports are apart from each other. So now I would like you to do the practice problem. It's on the next page. You can pause the video right now and try it yourself. It's a very similar problem to this one. I'm going to flip to the next page, and I'm going to start with drawing the diagram. If you get stuck with the diagram, look at the video.